Hello, and good afternoon. To anyone watching this video, I want to get something straight. I want to clarify something, as well as put something finally to rest that could actually, in fact, put a stop to all of this egotistical and prideful BS within, Satan himself that goes around using other people to do his dirty work. Did Satan create a short lifespan out of pleasure? Yes, he did. And where does that lifespan get people exactly? Any ideas? It gets you temporary happiness, temporary joy, temporary worldly peace, and only God knows what else. And then what really awaits you after all of that is spiritual and psychological death for rebelling against God the Father and his Son Jesus Christ, and for grieving the Holy Spirit. Because the Holy Spirit will depart from man and woman that choose to live a rebellious life. And my debate really is that Satan did not create immortality. God did. It was God the Father that created the heavens and the earth. It was also God the Father that so happened to have a relationship once upon a time with his son, Lucifer, known as the Morning Star. And we both know what happened within this story, don't we? Lucifer fell from the heaven above because he allowed his pride to get in the way of his relationship with God the Father. He wanted heaven to himself. Therefore, God said, "Depart from me." And he took a third of the angels that he took out of heaven with him. Now, this is why we have the mess that we have within today's society, based off of pleasure rather than reward and blessing. Feelings and emotions rather than emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, where you get to choose how to react to another person, good, bad, or even wrathful for that matter. Although preferably I'd like to react good a lot of the time. It's expected, it is what it is. And this is why, like I said, I will always trust the biblical manuscript as well as myself, and believe everything that the biblical manuscript has to say over man's word and woman's word. Because man and woman like to take what's good and use it for filthy, self-righteous, ragged works. And we also know what happens when that pride and that ego boost is removed and stripped away from those that like to use God's knowledge, wisdom, and logic for self-righteous purposes, don't we? They get miserable, they get angry and frustrated, sometimes even envious and jealous. It is what it is. And this is what happens, like I said, when you try to underestimate God, thinking that your life is actually, in fact, your life, and that your free will is actually, in fact, your free will to do whatever you like, without thinking of the consequences, nor the punishments to your actions. Tell me, people, if there's any truth to this, then Why are a lot of you miserable? Why are a lot of you actually in fact close to tears? Why are a lot of you so spiritually and psychologically skittish whenever my presence is known? And why, as a matter of fact, do a lot of you actually remove yourselves from my presence? If that's not a telltale sign upon each and every one of you to suggest that I am speaking the truth, I don't know what is. So, before I wrap this video up, like I said, Satan did not create the heavens, he did not create the earth. He once had a relationship commitment with God the Father before he allowed his pride to get in the way of what was good. He was then cast out of heaven along with a third of the angels, and this is why we have this satanic cult heaven on earth that offers pleasure, feelings, emotions, and only God knows what other spiritual weapon that can be used in order to attempt to destroy man and woman spiritually and psychologically. And this is why I live under the will of God. This is why, pardon what? I live within the presence of the Lord. Because one, I know that I'm protected and that I have nothing to fear other than his presence. And two, I know deep down within my heart and my mind, I am one of his adopted. And I chose to want to break out of this matrix that a lot of people are trapped within and enslaved within. And if people, like I said, can sacrifice their world of sin, their world of hate, their world of rebellion on a whole, they too could live potentially up to the age of 123 years prior to their age now. Because one, the spiritual warfare is slim to none. You still get it on occasions, but it is slim to none. Along with the psychological warfare, again, slim to none, but you still get it on occasions. But what you really experience is inner peace within your heart and your mind. A presence so profound and so strong that you don't even need to share a word with anyone, and you can automatically sense the fear coming from them via a trembling knee joint or shaking legs. And that's how I know that I am on the right path. And if people want to value their worldly lifestyle over God the Father, consequences and punishments are inevitable. Now, does this mean people have to live within them and remain within this scarcity, low vibrational, type of attitude and, outlook, or should one say perception towards life? No. Because there is so much out there within today's world that we haven't even seen yet spiritually. Because we're too far-fetched on thinking of, things really that aren't really worth thinking about, that causes overthinking patterns within people that could potentially lead later on to broken down relationships, broken down friendships, and a pride and ego that slowly creeps on back in, within the lives of those that no longer live by that code that was actually, in fact, worldly created. Now, it doesn't mean that we're better and, we're above those of you, that are either halfway there, nowhere near there, and it just means we were given a golden ticket out. And I believe wholeheartedly that every single person upon the face of the earth can be given that golden ticket. But so many people don't want to take that golden ticket. And why is that? Because it involves going inside of your own minds and your own hearts. In other words, it's outside of our actual physical selves. Meaning our heart and our mind is actually, in fact, bigger than the universe and space itself, therefore, or themselves. Therefore, we are actually, in fact, bound by nothing. And this is why people would rather live this, mediocre scarcity life, comfort zoned life, rather than put in the spiritual and psychological work in order to break free from all of this, in order to take that leap of faith. I mean, whoop-de-doo, let's say you did take the leap of faith, people, and those connections you thought you had with people didn't work out in the long run. There's other connections to be made, with other people. There's other things to explore that are actually, in fact, within correspondence to the Bible. It's 10 Commandments, judgments, and statutes, and not pride and ego and worldly status and all of this nonsense. I believe worldly status, in comparison to biblical status, it's far-fetched, it's overrated, and a lot of the time it's used for pride and ego boosts without thinking of the consequences and punishments, like I said, in the long run. Can it be used, with a godly mindset and a godly heart? Yeah, of course, it can. Of course it can. But that's not the life I live in right now, unfortunately. I see so many people that use their status to try and upper hand other people. They use their worldly status to take more, without actually, in fact, putting in the spiritual and psychological work in order to attract it naturally through the manifestations of their visions, And this is why, like I said, a lot of the time, it catches up to people and they're back to square one. They're right at the bottom of the pile and they virtually have nothing to show for the path that they chose in life, And me, thankfully, I don't care, like I said, how many times I'm knocked on my ass. I don't care how many times I fail. I don't even care how many times I'm laughed at, joked at, mocked at, scorned, looked weird at. I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue to push forward and give it all, give it everything that I have got. And there's absolutely nothing that no one can say nor do to burn out the fire that burns for God, the Father himself, and his Son, Jesus Christ. There is absolutely nothing that no one can say nor do, essentially, to dampen, that fire within my heart and my mind. Nothing. Not even your pathetic kindergarten measly victory wins, because, like I said, sooner or later, I'm going to be climbing way, 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 way back up to the top. And that victory win that you thought you had over me, it's nothing in comparison to the blessings and the rewards that await me for continuing to remain on the path that I am on now, which involves faith as well as a relationship commitment with God through his Son, Jesus Christ. And as frustrating life can be for many people, it's also, like I said, a blessing to wake up each morning knowing that there's so much out there for each and every one of us to take as well as elevate from, you know. In order to take and elevate, from all of these good things, psychological and spiritual work is required from people. Not, a worldly mindset, a cardinal mindset where you chase worldly status, and worldly pleasure. Because a lot of the time, like I said, I see through all of that, In my world, none of what I see is actually real. It's nothing more than a fabrication of who people really are. And I so happen to know the truth. I will remain with the truth until my last physical dying day on earth, And in those last and final moments of death, I will take all of the memories that I've created within inside of my own heart and mind with me. And then I get to live on again with that new life that I created. And see, this is what I find absolutely amazing about life. It all comes down to perception. And if you can switch off from all of the Debbie Downers and those with negative mindsets, around you, and you can focus on your own inner world, within inside of your own heart and your own mind, and focus on what needs to get done in order to get you through the day, you're already leaping the entire face of the earth 1,000 steps at a time. It is what it is. Enjoy whatever it is you do. Drink plenty, be safe. But most of all, and most importantly, to those that actually in fact throw in the towel when life's too tough, learn to use that time in order to rest, grow and evolve. And don't use it to quit like many people do. Quitting is for cowards. It's for pussies. And a coward, a pussy, is something I am not. And I will continue to push forward through everything. And like I said, there is not one thing people could say nor do to stop me. You could try. You could even try and physically get in my way. And we both know what's going to happen. You're going to get an ass whooping with my belt and buckle, and you're going to be left crying with your tails tucked between your legs to mummy and daddy. And that's what happens when you mess with good-hearted, sober-minded, loyal people that want a good future, a bright future for everyone. Not just a small percentage or a fraction, but everyone. Those that actually, in fact, feel it necessary to hate and persecute me, those included, everyone. Even the members of parliament, the King, King Charles, the homeless, the deceased, that no longer are here with us, that didn't get that chance in order to enforce as well as apply God's will. Because we're their voice now, we're also their strength. And it's the memory of them that we hold within our heart and our mind that helps us to push forward as a friendly reminder as to who we really are. And it isn't of this world, like I said. It's of God's kingdom that resides within our heart and our mind. Stay out of trouble. Be assertive. Be alert. Be vigilant. And also, always be sure to use spiritual discernment to discern truth from lie, fact from fiction, and fake from authenticity, And there you have it.